Welcome to episode 2 of the Chanel Ashby podcast on the EIP network. Excellence in porn, talent on loan from my cock. The worst and best of internet erotica in a review format, along with other tidbits and things that we find interesting every week, brought to you. In addition, we will once again freely and liberally use the 7 words that the federal government says that we should not use on television or radio. Chanel, would you like me to recap those words?
Please do.
Right? Shit, piss, fuck, cunt. Love cunt.
I do too.
It just sounds good, doesn't it?
It does.
Cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits.
I wonder if you can possibly, during the course of the show, come up with one sentence that uses all 7 of those words.
I will work on that for next week.
Okay. It's a deal.
That'll be fun.
Okay.
It's like a project. When I'm not working, and for our listeners who don't know, we should probably recap a little bit about what we do. During the week, Chanel works very diligently writing erotica and posting it to all the various outlets that you can get your erotica from. And every week we'll tell you about what's coming up and what she's just posted. I, on the other hand, am a door-to-door dildo salesman, and I host dildo parties. It's a niche market, that's for sure.
It is, and if you want to host a dildo party, you should contact Chris at chrisplove69@gmail.com.
Right, or if you want a dildo in your niche, I said niche.
You're always selling.
Right. It's
always selling.
A, B, C, always be closing the snatch. So, we're very excited to be back here with you this week. And we have, as usual, our reviews of erotica first up.
We do, Crispy. And since you were so busy with the myriad of duties that come with dildo salesmanship,
right?
I did have a lot of porn to read this week. And I actually found a couple that were quite hot. Do you want to hear about those?
Boners up?
Boners fully up.
Absolutely. I've got my pants off right now.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Is that a dildo in your hand?
No, it's my cock.
Okay. You're just happy to see me, right?
I am every week.
Excellent. I read a story that was called Mother May I by J.T. Stone. Now, okay, I get it. Incest between mother and son. You either hate it and you think it's disgusting, or you love it and you can't stop reading it.
We love it, don't we?
Right? We do. We like, because who doesn't want to be mommy's good little boy? This was actually quite hot. So it's all about the family that, mom's down on her luck. It's after the recession. She's going to lose the house.
It's a period piece?
It is a period piece. Thank you.
That's excellent.
Exactly. House is in foreclosure. She's got to make some money. So she finds out that she can do an incest porn movie. And she makes like $5,000 up front. But
see, she's willing to take it for the family.
Exactly.
Right? That's what you do. Good family values right there. That's what America is built on.
She's a great example of a good American.
Right.
So she's but she has to watch some of the mommy and son hot videos so she can kind of get the idea.
See, once again, she's a learner too.
She's doing her research.
Right? You can't just jump into fucking your son without knowing about watching something or reading or who knows what.
Getting the right size dildo.
But I deal with that every day.
From Chris P.
You'd think people would be more receptive to me knocking on their door with a suitcase full of dildos.
Right? I'd let you in.
Right, I'm sure you would. I'm sorry, I digress.
Right? Well, you have a great job. So anyway, Mom watches this hot mother and son porn, masturbates. She's very excited about it. So is her son. And bada bing, bada boom, they get it on. And it's a slow build up, but not with backstory. It's a lot of foreplay. So it gets hotter and hotter.
We hate backstory.
Right? There's no backstory. It's just like a lot of like pre-cum in the undies kind of backstory.
All slippery.
Right?
Good stuff.
I agree. So JT Stone, 4 boners. Mother, may I? Her son has to ask every time he's going to do something. Mother, may I?
Right. So there's a little bit of that whole mistress sub thing.
Yeah.
So don't buy it today. Where can we buy it?
You can buy it on Amazon or anywhere else that you buy smut. This particular piece is straight up incest, so that's not going to be on Amazon because, you know, they're the thought police. But a lot of the other work by JT Stone, all over the internet, available for peruse.
Just go ahead and Google it.
Google it.
Right. Okay. What's your next story?
You know, there was a couple that I thought were worth mentioning that had some BDSM. And, you know, some people, again, it's like the mommy son incest. If you're either really into getting your ass beat or you hate it. But if you're really into it.
And most of us are.
Right, exactly, especially on this show.
Right.
I wanted to make a side note. You know, a lot of the very hardcore BDSM is no longer out for general consumption because if someone's screaming, no, 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 it's non-consensual. I'm doing my invisible finger parentheses, but it's
you do a lot of things with those fingers.
I know. It's non-consensual, and a lot of those really hardcore stories are no longer on Amazon or iBooks or any of those places. But they are on A1 adult ebooks. There's a particular category there. It's dark BDSM, and some of the other specifically banned for Kindle books are on A1 adult ebooks.
Thank God there's an outlet for that.
Right, and they do accept PayPal. And one of their books that I read this week is by Richard Stryker.
I like the name.
Right?
Dick Stryker.
Dick Stryker. I kind of, you know, if it's a good name, like right away.
A porn star or a fighter pilot?
Ooh, maybe he's both.
A fighter pilot porn star? With a huge cock, I bet.
Right? Who's a great American who, like, flies for the Navy when he's not, like, fucking people in
Dick
porn.
Stryker's going to take out ISIS. Watch out, ISIS. Not only does he have an F-14 full of bombs, he's got a huge cock.
A 14-inch dick.
Lock up your women, ISIS. While you're in the desert, Dick Stryker's striking their pussy.
He's an all-American hero. I'm getting a little bit teary-eyed.
And wet, I bet.
Yeah, kind of. Okay, so Richard Stryker, a real American, an American you should know. We should have like some patriotic music going on.
Right. We're going to work on production values over the next few months so that it gets even better. At some point, there'll be music playing in the background for a great American hero like Richard Stryker.
Exactly. The book's called Donna's Desire. And, of course, the main character is a girl named Donna. And it's from the first-person point of view, so it's Donna telling the story. Like, hi, my name's Donna. And I don't really like sex. So the wind-up is she's never really had a proper bone thrown
I bet
to
she
her.
likes sex by the end of the story, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
Right.
And she meets this guy at a party after, you know, fucking around various random guys. Meets this guy who makes her come when she's tied up. And in every different particular way. And apparently has a huge cock on top of knowing like where her clit is, which is valuable information that a lot of guys don't know.
Well, of course, he would know right away because they just met, and his cock probably had a like clit radar on it. Like, I bet you Dick Stryker's cock has clit radar on it for the ISIS women. Watch out, ISIS, he's coming for you.
Right? It's like a drone.
Right? It's a drone strike on her clit.
It's a dick drone.
Oh.
We can control it from thousands of miles away, thanks to technology.
Do you think the new movie with Mark Wahlberg, the $6 billion man, that they put a dick drone on him? I think that was part of the $6 billion.
You know, how hot would that be?
Right.
I hope Mark Wahlberg can find my clit with his dick drone.
Right. Hey, Mark, feel free to, if you're listening, and you might be, it's chaneltube2@gmail.com.
Definitely. If you have a dick drone. I mean, otherwise, you could just send me a picture.
Otherwise, you're just another Boston wanker that got famous.
Exactly. Donna's Desire. It's super hot. It was a super short, very hot, very wet story. And Richard Stryker does a lot of, if you couldn't tell by his name, spanking stories.
Right.
And they are on a one adult ebook. So if you are into the thought of tearing some beautifully virginal girl's butt up before fucking her.
And who isn't?
Right.
That's a good time had by all.
Like leaving some nice pink zebra stripes all over her bottom before deflowering her. You're going to want to check out Richard Stryker.
Excellent. I reviewed a book this week, too. I actually reviewed a couple.
Oh, look at you being so dedicated while you're out there on the road with dildos.
Right. So the first one I read was Sweet Little Slut by John Smith. And I like the name of the story, Sweet Little Slut. But there were a couple of things that were a little distracting. First off, the story was, oddly enough, a little hot. But there were a few things that distracted me, including the 3-person acknowledgement at the beginning of the book, where he felt the need to thank 3 women for basically keeping him sane, I guess.
For sucking his dick?
No, I don't think this
All
guy,
at the same time?
I don't think this guy gets his dick sucked.
Interesting. Okay.
I think he spends a fair amount of time trying to find 18-year-old girls who want to suck his dick, but based on the story. Let me just tell you, okay, once again, disappointed girl, freshman in college, not getting good dick. And ladies out there, you know what I'm talking about. Trying to find good dick at 18 can't be easy. But of course, after going home and having a lesbian experience with her roommate, where at least she says she's not a lesbian, but at least she can get off. Thank God for that.
That's true. You need a good friend that'll lick your bean and...
Right. She knows where a clit is, because who knows better than another woman?
Totally agreed.
Right. So, but while walking home after classes, she meets the 50-year-old neighbor, the experienced hunky dude.
Is he hunky when he's 50?
He was referred to as masculine and hunky. Who then invites her over under the pretense of watching. So, of course, she comes over to watch a movie, and before you know it, she's getting boned by a big 50-year-old cock, which, for an 18-year-old girl, that might be good. You heard an interesting term this week about old man. So, it is, if you don't know, apparently old men like to Skype with young girls. And so they have a term for their dick, right?
I think it's their jizz, maybe, specifically, is country gold.
Country gold. It's like, it reminds me of those 2 old dudes that would sit on the porch and have country time lemonade. Do you think, with the bow ties and suspenders, do you think maybe they sat around talking about their country gold while sipping country time? I
think once they made enough money from their country time, they got some girl to suck out some country gold.
Right, shameless plug. People at Country Time, if you're looking for someone to sponsor, please give me a call at ChrisPLove69 @gmail.com we're always looking for good corporate sponsors.
Right?
Always.
I don't know about... does that mean we couldn't make any more cunt re-jokes?
You can like that. So, there, sweet little slut, not in the country, but in a college town. The other annoying thing that I did not like about it was that, of course, because she's 18, quote, unquote, air quotes, had to call him sir all the time.
Ooh, is that more of a BDSM respectful thing?
Right, to your buddy.
Well, it's the only way to get around that whole daddy thing.
Right, and of course, I believe that his, like, Facebook is like Master Spanker or something like that. So, he's probably like 5'3" and...
Oh,
right.
got like a 3-inch willy.
John Smith, really? Try and be a little more original. Having said that, once again, it was probably 2.5 boners.
Really?
Yeah, 2.5
A
boners.
solid 2.5?
Yeah, not as hot as what you were reading, but it was okay.
You would highly recommend it to people that want to spank and fuck little girls, so.
Definitely. If you're got a thing for college freshmen, sophomores, perhaps graduate students, then this would be something for you. And he seems to have quite a bit out there in this genre.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now, I also reviewed Taken by the Caveman.
That sounds hot.
Right? By Nadia Nightside.
As an FYI, Chris, in case you didn't know, when people use the word taken in porn, that means like consensually, air parentheses, fucked. Almost rape, but we can't use that.
Right.
So.
Well, it was pretty rapey. I mean,
excellent.
kind of picture the Geico Caveman. Another shameless plug. Geico, it's Chris P. Love 69 at gmail.com. Always look with good corporate partners. Okay, so picture the Geico Caveman coming out of a time machine from Cro-Magnon times.
Okay.
And lo and behold, there's the failing college student who had to show up to do lab work to try and pass because her professor was such a hard ass.
I like hard asses.
And gets totally dominated by a caveman. Finally, another college student gets satisfied. But wait, there's more.
Oh my gosh.
Because there's a caveman gangbang. Of course, the girl, having been so totally satiated, has to go back to the time machine and wait for Erg, that's his name, the caveman's name, Erg, to come back and bring, of course, some of his friends, one of which is named Brog. Right, Brog.
Those are very good manly names.
That's good writing there. Uh-huh.
Me, Erg.
Right.
You girl.
Yeah. And then, of course, she starts, the first 9 pages are basically her just complaining about not passing the class because she didn't do the work, because she was pretty and she really shouldn't have to, go to school. She's just there to meet a rich guy who's going to keep her happy the rest of her life, and, she just doesn't need it.
Isn't that what college is about?
Right, because I believe that women going to college is a total waste of time, that they should basically just be barefoot and pregnant and sucking my dick.
Exactly.
Right.
You don't need an education to do that.
No.
Ugly girls need education.
Right. Ugly girls, they need to get a master's, a doctorate, higher education. Pretty girls like this girl, who's only going to college to meet a man, she doesn't need an education. But she got a caveman cock. Right.
Do cavemen have, that's the problem. It's extracurricular, right? So cavemen don't have jobs.
No, they just go in and out of time machines.
Well,
they have nothing else to do except, I don't know, develop fire.
She should be fucking her professors. Then she wouldn't be, flunking any classes.
He wanted nothing to do with her.
maybe she does need an education.
Right. So I did come across one of my new favorite terms. She's now a cave slut for caveman. Now, I will say that one of the most unrealistic finishes I have ever had, because after the caveman gangbang,
Yes.
she points out that she did graduate the class, thank God, and her life became so much more meaningful when she realized that thanks to her relationship with Erg and Barg, that they went back to Cro-Magnon times, and every picture they drew on the walls were of her.
Aww.
So now here we are, like 20 million years later,
Yeah.
and it's her picture on the wall.
So, backstory, Chris P. Are you feeling a little lonely when you're out there on the road selling dildos?
No, because if you have a suitcase full of dildos, you're never lonely. It's just, what's it gonna be tonight?
Right? Just as long as you have enough lube, you've got plenty of friends.
Right? And Super 8's very, like, swinger friendly. So, Super 8, hey, big shout out. Chris P. Love 69 at gmail.com. We're
Lot of
always
swinger-
looking for corporate sponsors.
A lot of swinger parties at
At the Super 8?
the Super 8.
How do you think they got their name?
Because there's always at least 8.
8 ready to party, and they're super. Yep.
Too bad other fine hotel chains don't have that pro swinger policy.
Right. You know, you don't never meet swingers at Marriott's.
Really?
No.
How about Hilton's?
No.
Really?
No. And I love Hilton's. They have a fine breakfast. Lot better than Super 8, but you know what? Your stomach's usually so full of cum and whatnot that you don't even need the continental breakfast. That's why you go there. Speaking of stomach full, we were going to talk about golden showers.
We were going to talk about golden showers, Chris P.
Right? And you did some research.
I did do some research. Actually, I wrote a blog about golden showers.
Really?
It's on chaneltube2.com.
I'm a little behind on your blog updates.
Oh.
Chafing.
Wow. There's only so much spank bank that a guy can do when he's busy with dildos and reading porn and
Swinger parties.
parties.
All hours of the night.
You're so busy. Golden showers. Yeah, I was just doing a little research on lesbian golden showers. And do you remember when we used to look at Ron Mexico's internet erotica on Amazon?
When you could find it.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, Mr. Mexico is no longer on Amazon. However, he did used to write a lot about lesbian golden showers, a lot of girl-on-girl pee, and sometimes scat play as well, which, of course, is sort of a no-no. Oh, I remember...
No to who?
Well, you have to call it something that's not shit.
Poo-poo.
Which sounds really baby.
Jab Brown. Good time.
Right? And if you're an adult baby who likes to pee-pee and poo-poo
Right?
in their diaper,
Eat your corn. Make sure you eat your corn the night before.
then that's okay. But I think for a lot of people that are more adult than adult baby, probably saying the word poo-poo isn't so great. But a lot of people are into pee-pee. Water sports are here to stay.
Big business, very inexpensive. Drink a glass of water, good to go.
And, you can use it as lubricant. You can hydrate. The gays, of course, what's hotter than two guys pissing on each other?
There's a lot of that out there.
There
Type in
is.
water sports, and chances are the first thing you're going to come across is a gay dude with a funnel and another one with a bladder full of good times.
And it's great for humiliation play. Sissies have to wear a pee-pee diaper, or maybe they just have to take a mouthful of piss. It's completely up to their mistress's discretion at that point.
Well, she's really in charge,
Of everything.
right?
Exactly. And I wanted to mention that I had put up a new version of In the Sultan's Service this week. And that sissy book happens to have a lot of golden shower activity. In fact, one of the more humiliating aspects of our...
Spoiler alert.
Wow, it's not a spoiler so much as it's part of his feminization is that he has to take a real man's piss.
Right.
Because how else are you going to turn into a lady boy?
And just so you know, though it is written as fiction, it's taken from real life stories of British secret agents. American secret agents, no, we don't. No. They're guys like Dick Stryker.
Yeah, exactly. They're like real alpha males. These British spies are the ones that secretly go both ways. It's all that boarding school.
I think so.
It's when you send your kids off to boarding school.
They make them swim naked together and
right.
take showers together.
Let some random perv like spank your kid.
Right.
Just because you don't want to have to raise them.
Exactly.
We don't do that in America.
Well, right. We'd like to. We'd all like to get rid of our kids.
Wow. Exactly.
Well, we
Speaking,
don't really have kids, but we've heard stories.
Well, we only care about them once they turn 18 and can buy porn.
Right.
Speaking of America, where did your tour of American porn take you this week, Chris Payne?
Welcome back to our tour of American porn, where we feature cities and states from across this fine nation. And at some point, we'll be adding Canada, our friends to the north. But this week, it's the Maui mudslide.
Ooh, that sounds very interesting. I've never heard of that before.
It sounds almost like a drink you get in one of those fancy bars.
One of those like disgusting chocolate cakes that when you stick your fork in it, it all kind of turns to shit on the plate.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned shit, because a Maui mudslide is basically shitting on a girl's chest and then fucking her so hard that the shit slides down and mixes in her poon and your cock. That's a good time. I would strongly suggest perhaps maybe having a burrito or some good Mexican food the night before, because when you take that dump, if it's too solid, you won't get the movement you want down her stomach.
Do you recommend corn the night before on a Maui mudslide evening?
I do, because I think that, to get some acid in there and some texture, I think creates the image you're really looking for. So
corn or peanuts? Do you find that peanuts work? And
I eat peanuts a lot because I'm on the road selling dildos. So I'm usually handed peanuts from the nice young ladies at Southwest Airlines. Chris P. Love69 at gmail.com, Southwest. We love you.
You are free to move about the country.
With your dildos. And they're so great. They've got a nice overhead space that's just right for my sample case.
Do you ever have any difficulties with TSA when you're carrying around a suitcase full of dildos?
I get checked all the time. But the good news is that every once in a while I get a new customer.
Do they ever take you in that back room? And
all the time.
Really?
Yeah, but usually to get a new customer. So it works out okay.
Well, that's because you're always selling.
Right.
The Maui mudslide sounds pretty interesting.
It really is. And good for you, Hawaii, for stepping up and giving us something to be proud of Hawaii for.
Besides just Barack Obama.
Right. And white sandy beaches.
Right. I wanted to tell you about the worst gay porn I ever read in my life.
And just so you know, listeners, Chanel likes gay porn.
I love gay porn.
When I first met her, she was perusing gay porn in an adult bookstore.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how we met. She was looking at gay porn. Oddly enough, underage gay porn. Well, daddy underage gay porn.
Cartoons, though.
Right, with the big 70s mustache on the daddy.
Yeah, like a Ron Jeremy cartoon. Almost like that Stranger Danger cartoon book that we got back in the 70s.
Yeah, like with firemen and 70s porn stars mustache type thing.
Exactly. And you were there selling dildos.
I was.
Good times.
Right, I was restocking the Wilbur. That's our number one selling dildo, by the way, the Wilbur.
You were telling me about the Wilbur.
Right, 9-inch black dildo. Realistic. You fill the balls with a cum-like substance, And then, ladies or men,
you're not judgy.
I'm not judgy.
Not when it comes to dildo sales.
And money. Yeah. If your money's green, my dildo's in your hand. So, but you can squeeze the balls and fill whatever orifice you might be using that dildo on.
Do you get a lot of the larger girls?
Larger girls love
who like
Wilbur.
to put edible things inside the Wilbur.
Well, they like their frosting in there. And then they're going to be working on Deep Throat. Though it's funny because the Wilbur is a giant black cock. And I did have one big girl, God bless her. She said, well, I can't use it till I get home because I've got to get chocolate frosting because it's a black cock. So she must have been under the impression that black dudes, their jizz is black too.
Right.
Not the smartest tack in the box.
This is the reason. This is what happens after they get rid of sex ed.
Right.
And
no one left behind except her, apparently.
They like it in the behind, though.
Right. That's where Wilbur was that night.
Wilbur's got a full-time job, and that girl's an asshole. Now, the worst gay porn ever, which is really sad, because like you were just saying, we both love gay porn. It's called Wrong Number by Harold Jones.
Well, some of these people need to come up with better names.
I agree. Harold Jones. I'm thinking that this guy is so lame that could possibly be his real name. And all I'm going to say is that it's 24 pages of boner down and backstory. I don't even think that the dudes hook up in this entire story. It's a sucky story that never sucks. So, should totally be avoided. It's called Wrong Number, but it's a huge, well, I'm sorry, I take that back. It's a small, leaky boner down.
Yeah, we don't like those.
No. Another unfortunate, disappointing story that I read this week was called Teacher's Pet Lesson 1.
Well, you're setting up for a series there.
Right? And, normally Teacher's Pet wouldn't be enough to interest me. But the author's pen name is Nigel Bain.
That's a great name.
2 great, awesome names.
Going into this with high expectations just based on the name.
Exactly. I kind of had a little bit of wet panties just seeing that name.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's where it all ended. The main character had a crush on his 2nd grade teacher. And then all of a sudden he turns 18 and she's available and they bang.
How fortuitous for him to meet when he's 7 and then 11 or 12 years later she's available.
And still hot.
Right, because...
And always... See, now here's the little pervy thing. When you're doing something in reference to age and your older character tells your just turned 18 character that they've always had a thing for you, right. And you're talking about how she was your 2nd grade teacher. Yeah,
it's a slippery slope.
It is a slippery slope.
All of a sudden it's oh, you had a thing for me when I was 7, and all I wanted to do at 7 was play dodgeball and eat Fritos.
And catch an odd glance down her blouse or something.
Right.
Who was like, titties.
Yeah, well, we all like titties. See, I said, I can't say that on TV. Tits.
Tits. Although I do have something that I'm going to give you to read next week, Crispy.
I'm very excited about the reading material that you send over to me.
Oh, I found the perfect book for you to read while you're out on the road selling dildos.
Excellent.
It's called The Enema of My Enemy is My Friend.
Okay, I gotta admit that the title intrigues me because it's really quite a lovely play on words.
It is quite a lovely play on words. And the author's pen name is Brown Stain.
Well, way to tie it all together. Okay. That's Tuesday night reading, if anything is.
I'm thinking that after a busy day of selling dildos, that you're going to appreciate the enema of my enemy.
Right. Well, it's summertime, so there's not a lot on TV. Tuesday nights are usually pretty good. NCIS is in reruns, and I'm not really a reality TV person, and who wants to watch The Bachelorette, for God's sake? So,
Ugh. You know what would make The Bachelorette better?
death.
Ninjas fucking
Right.
people on the stage.
And fucking their skull holes.
All of their skull
Right.
holes.
While dominating The Bachelorette.
With dildos.
But I sold them. And then, you know what? If she didn't like a certain ninja, she could hand them a rose. And then they have to, they don't commit hair carry, but they have to cut off their dick because it wasn't satisfying.
Ooh, I like that. That's quite the scathing review when you have to cut it off.
Right? We did this week, once again, because I know you're all aflutter with our romance book of the week. And I only perused it, and I'll tell you in a moment. But first, I must give our romance disclaimer.
Oh, thank you for remembering these technical, legal
Right.
aspects of this
It's
show.
very important that we cover our legal ass
Right.
with a brief. Right? Get it? Legal brief.
I love it
Right.
when your clever play on words gives me wet panties.
It's not an enema of the...
The enema of my enemy is my friend.
Right? But it works. Okay, our romance disclaimer. Every week, we will be reviewing a romance story. It's the closest thing to weight loss that we can get. Laying in my own diarrhea while being told I contracted a flesh-eating bacteria and Ebola would actually be better than reading this material. Honestly, I think that dying that way might be less painful than having to read romance. But in an effort to save you, the listener, that same pain, we're going to do it for you. Unless, of course, you're a middle-aged, menopausal, miserable, fat woman who is sitting at home right now eating chocolate on a beautiful afternoon saying, if only it was me in that romance novel. Well, I've got a big bag of dick for you then. Now, this week in our romance is called, what's the story's name?
It is called Welcome to the Dark Side by Dan Bruce.
And of course, I was very excited by this because usually Welcome to the Dark Side means that at some point there's going to be a huge black cock coming into play.
Black gangbang.
Right, that too.
Getting sold into black slavery.
Not the case,
Queen of
listeners.
Spades.
All good stories that we love to read.
Black cousins.
This was 151 painstaking, agonizing pages of torture. It was miserable. We didn't even get cock until page 102. And it turned out to be basically a BDSM story. Nobody even got spanked till page 12. And keep in mind, these are not Kindle pages. These are full PDF, long version pages. Terrible.
That's true. I do think that perhaps the upside for this book is it is a good transition novel for the woman we mentioned in the disclaimer, the middle-aged housewife woman who's used to reading 300 pages of no dick before the dick is even unzipped.
If you enjoyed 50 Shades of Shit, this will be a perfect book for you.
It would be a perfect book for you because the sex happens fairly soon in comparison. It's just not something that we usually deal with here in porn world where the sex happens after the third paragraph.
Right. The last time I skipped this much material, we were on a commercial break on my DVR. I would just fast forward. It would fast forward. Not fast forward. It was terrible.
So would you say boner completely down for Welcome to the Dark Side?
Right, definitely. And the author's name again is
Dan Bruce.
Right. So ignore any books you see from Dan Bruce. Another sucky author name. I should mention that as we continue on with these podcasts, at some point we are going to attempt to get authors on to talk to us.
We are. Whether they're our favorite authors, our least favorite authors, we definitely are open to hearing why people write what they write and why they think it was a good story.
Right. You know, we should mention that if the dark side was bad and did not give us anything that we wanted in the dark side, that Chanel has a new book out. Tell us about that new book, because this will give you the big black cock you're looking for.
Oh, this is lots of big black dick. Turned out by his wife. It has been out for the last couple of days, and it is hot. It's a guy whose wife decides to bring home a strap-on, and then, bam, as soon as he gets the Wilbur, he is a slut.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
It is so on like Donkey Kong, and then he meets a gorgeous, hot, dominant black tranny who rocks his world and puts him on the corner because, of course, she's a pimp.
Of course she is.
Of course, she's a big black tranny. What else would she do?
Trannies only have two jobs. They're either pimps or they work in doctor's offices. And listeners, just so you know, every nurse you meet in a doctor's office is a tranny.
At least the hot ones.
Right, with a huge cock. Not the fat, ugly ones. They're actual women who probably are going home to read The Dark Knight. But the hot ones are trannies. So if you're into that type of thing, I would strongly suggest you hit on them.
Exactly. And make sure that you know what's going to happen when you bend over and cough. I did want to tell you about one more.
Wait, where can we find this story?
Oh, you can find Turned Out by His Wife on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple iBooks, Google Play.
That's excellent. Just go to those places, type in Chanel Ashby, and that's ChanelAshby. Okay, well, we have a new feature this week that we're bringing out to all you listeners. It's our reader question of the week. And once again, anyone with reader questions, well, you're not reading this, you're listening to it. But listener questions, Chris P. Loves 69, and I do, at gmail.com.
Aren't you lucky that you had that name? That name was available.
Right, I really thought it would have been taken. The odds of Chris P. Loves 69 at gmail.com still being available after the internet is like 20 years old, you'd think it would be gone.
Right.
But I got it. So feel free to email your listener questions to ChrisPLove69 at gmail.com. So our listener question of the week was, I want to buy Spank Bank material, but now that my wife signed us up for a family account on Kindle, I can't buy it on Amazon anymore. Where else can I buy it on the low? I like to buy tranny porn, and because of that, I don't want my wife seeing it. Well, this is an obvious problem thanks to Amazon and their family accounts.
It is. It's a big problem for people that buy porn on their Kindle. But it's a good time to start expanding your porn horizons because you don't want to rely on one provider. You don't want to have just one dildo, right, Chris P? You want to have a wide variety of dildos in case you need a backup.
Right. We have 58 models to choose from in varying sizes, shapes, and colors.
Excellent.
Right.
You can buy porn at about 58 different places. I'm going to tell you about some of them. If you have a Nook, you can buy all of your erotica needs at Barnes & Noble. If you have an iPhone, you can buy almost any kind of porn from your iTunes account. On Google Play, there's all kinds of, either in Google Play or Google Books, you've got stuff for your Android. Of course, more than half of the porn out there is still downloaded to a computer. And
that's interesting to know.
It is interesting, and there's a lot of ma and pa kind of websites like A1 Adult Books or tabooreading.com, where you can get some of a variety of new authors or things that were maybe not cleared for takeoff on Amazon and whatnot.
Right.
But
It's a lot different than it used to be. You used to have to go to, old times, you'd have to go down to the sketchy part of town, cross the railroad tracks, and go into the adult store, and then peruse and hope you didn't see your neighbors.
or that you could maybe support your porn habit by going to the glory hole for a while.
Well, that's just for the quickie before going home to the wife.
Exactly.
But she never paid attention anyway, because she's on the couch eating Godiva, reading, romance.
Well, you do not have to be stuck with your family account on Kindle. You can definitely find almost all of the porn that we talk about through many channels, and we'll make sure that we always tell you where you can get it. Did you read anything else this week, Chris P?
That was all I read this week, but it's very important that I think we should mention that, of course, anyone who would like to email Chanel, it's chanelashby@gmail.com. And for you other listeners, my email is chrisplove69@gmail. And just so you know, we do not want pictures of your vaginas, of your dicks, of you dressed up in panties, or you doing things with dildos.
That would be terrible.
That would be terrible.
To have an inbox full of reader pictures.
Right, we wouldn't want
or
that.
listener pictures.
Right, that we could post on the blog.
Ugh.
We wouldn't want that showing up at chanelashby@gmail.com or chrisplove69@gmail.com. It's very difficult these days to take those pictures that we don't want emailed, because most people probably don't have, cameras on their phones and internet and email on their phones.
I just don't know what to do with all these pictures, Crispy. You might have to take a second job.
Right.
Well, actually, it would be your third job. I also want you to get all excited because next week we're going to talk.
I excited the whole time. Can't you tell?
Yeah, I could see that you were definitely excited.
I didn't pull my pants up, listeners. It's been on the whole time.
Next week we're going to talk about erotic lactation, Crispy.
Squirty titties.
Right.
Nice.
Got milk?
Yeah. Welcome to America. It's so great. So one day you'll see a picture of me with just milk on my upper lip, and it'll be titty milk. It won't be the milk out of a jug.
Wow, that's got too much lactose in it. Makes you gassy.
Right. And I bet you, I wonder if mother's milk from the mother's teat is gluten-free. That seems to be a very big thing right now, gluten-free.
Oh, I think we're going to have to find out about this.
Right? I'm going to look into that.
Good job.
Right? So I think that's it for this week, listeners. And we really enjoyed talking to you, and we hope to read your emails. And next week, it'll be lactation and more porn reviews.
Yay!
Have a good week, Chanel.
You too, Chris P.